The single greatest skill that separates the broke from the truly wealthy isn't intelligence or even luck. It's mastering the psychology of money. I spent 7 years building a startup that left me burnt out and 50 pounds overweight. And after 7 years, I sold it for millions. But even with the money, I was still playing small. I was still operating from a place of scarcity, protecting what I had instead of building what I was capable of. I realized then that wealth is a mindset. I had to stop letting my old limited thinking run my life. If you want to build real wealth, you have to break these 6 limiting beliefs that are keeping you broke. The first one is your legacy operating system. This is your identity, the default settings installed by everyone in your upbringing, your parents, your environment, your teachers. If your legacy operating system is programmed with beliefs like money is evil, money is limited, or success requires luck, you will subconsciously crash every wealth building opportunity that comes your way in order to stay safe within your legacy operating system's programming. Your brain is a prediction engine, so it doesn't see the world as it is, it sees it through the filters that you've inherited. If you were raised to believe that being comfortable is the goal, your brain may interpret the discomfort required for growth as a threat. So you might self-sabotage when things get good because your operating system thinks you're doing too much. The strategy here is to manually override your legacy operating system. You're going to build a new operating system piece by piece. The 2 fastest ways to do this: number 1, aggressively curate your social media algorithms so that you are only consuming content from wealthy people talking about their own mindsets and their journey until your brain accepts the identity that wealth is okay, that wealth is for you, that it's achievable for you. The number 2 shortcut, honestly, is to physically locate yourself surrounded by successful people. For example, if you're young and hungry and you like tech, move to San Francisco, to Silicon Valley. Because when you change your environment, you force your brain to update its new normal. If you're surrounded by so many successful people, subconsciously, you'll start to adapt their thinking habits as well. And if you can't physically move, read successful people's books instead of watching Netflix. I'm going to give you a ChatGPT prompt to help uncover your legacy operating system. Here's the prompt. Ask me questions one at a time to uncover 3 beliefs I've inherited about my personal capabilities and 3 beliefs about money. Take that, type it into ChatGPT, and you're going to have a really interesting interactive discussion. Limiting belief number 2 is the illusion of the serial entrepreneur. Juggling 5 different businesses at the same time is just a sophisticated way to hide from the risk of actually succeeding or failing at one thing. Complexity is a system bug. It keeps you impressively busy so you don't have to actually be effective or accountable for your results. Most people use multitasking or launching multiple businesses or being a serial entrepreneur as a shield. Because if you have 5 businesses and they all fail, you can blame the workload and you can sound proud in the process, bragging to everyone that you're running 5 businesses. But if you have one business and it fails, you have to face the fact that you personally failed. And the worst part is the context switch task. Every time you're jumping from one project to another or one business to another, you're losing 40% of your mental power just in switching the context. Be realistic here. You aren't building 5 empires. You're just spreading your energy so thin that nothing is working, but you're basking in the impressive sounding title of being a serial entrepreneur. The strategy here is to choose one thing because wealth is built by one thing that works. If you have 3 businesses and none are profitable, that's not a portfolio. You're just avoiding the hard work of making one business work. Pick the one that has the highest ceiling or the one that you enjoy the most and kill the rest. Here's a ChatGPT prompt to help you with this. Ask me about my projects one by one to help me identify which project has the most potential, then guide me through deleting all distractions. The third principle in understanding the psychology of money is differentiating between liabilities and assets. Most people still today are babysitting their lives. They buy liabilities that suck their time. For example, status symbols like fancy cars, clothes, houses that require constant maintenance, debt payments, and a lot of energy just to keep up. And people are often funding these liabilities with hourly based income. If you stopped going to the job, the money would stop flowing, quite literally. Wealthy people focus on acquiring assets. An asset is something that pays you. And in the world of software, technology, and AI, zero marginal cost is a really powerful concept. For example, if you're working a service job, your 100th hour is just as exhausting as your first hour, if you can even make it to 100 hours right by the end of the week. Whereas when you have, let's say, a digital software product, the 10,000th customer that is using the product costs exactly the same amount of effort as the first customer, especially for lower ticket SaaS products like what I'm building. By the way, my name's Sabrina Romanov. I previously built and sold an AI company for millions of dollars, and now I teach millions of people AI for free. The two assets that I'm personally super invested in building are number one, my brand. All of my content is also working while I sleep. And number two is my SaaS product, Blotato. It's an asset and it's really valuable and it generates revenue while I sleep. The key point here, stop being the engine and start owning the revenue engine. So you want to shift from trading your hours and time to building and acquiring assets that compound over time. You want to build systems like your personal brand or digital products that work 24/7 so that you don't have to. Here's a ChatGPT prompt to help you think through this. Based on everything you know about me, list 3 time-sucking liabilities that require my time to maintain but don't generate revenue. The fourth one is the wealthy imposter, and this is very related to number 3. So status signaling is a tax on your freedom. Buying something crazy expensive that you're paying on your credit card just to prove that you've made it before you've actually made it means you're trading your long-term buying power for short-term validation from people you probably don't even care about or like. Okay, real wealth is measured in your runway and the ability to say no to things you just don't want to do and you don't have to do because you're in control. So if your life costs $10,000 a month to maintain because you're trying to look rich and you only have $100,000 in the bank, then that's like 10 months of runway if you were to quit your hourly based job today. If you live a low overhead life that costs $3,000, well, that same money gives you 3 years of freedom. As an entrepreneur, I look at it 3 years of runway, 3 years of time to try a lot of different things, take on risk, and build real wealth. So trying to look rich by buying a lot of stuff you don't need is honestly going to keep you working for many years to pay for things that are liabilities, lose value the second you buy them, and suck up your time to maintain. The strategy here is to realize that low overhead equals high leverage, because the ultimate status symbol isn't an expensive item you buy. It's the freedom to say no and design your life exactly how you want it. Here's a ChatGPT prompt to help you think through this. Ask me questions about my lifestyle expenses to uncover which ones are for signaling success versus actually useful. The fifth limiting belief is the busy trap. This means you're trading time, which is a non-renewable resource, for money, which is a renewable resource that you can make more of. Money can always be printed, earned, or invested, but your time is incredibly finite. It disappears every single second. And so it's incredibly important to buy back your time so you can focus on the 1% of strategic decisions that truly move the needle and get you to the next inflection point. Most entrepreneurs get stuck in the founder's trap. Every time you spend an hour doing admin work or running errands, you're literally losing hundreds of dollars per hour. The strategy here is to audit your productivity. Where is your time going? Stop being busy and start building systems and leverage so that you don't have to do the busy work. So use money to buy back your hours, either by delegating or by using AI and automations. Your job is to stay in your zone of genius, which is the high level thinking that truly moves the needle. So here's a ChatGPT prompt to help you understand this. Based on everything you know about me, what are the 3 lowest value tasks that I should eliminate or delegate to free up my bandwidth? And limiting belief number 6 is what I call social malware. It's the fear of being judged by other people, fear of public embarrassment, public humiliation, public failure. And this is a huge limiting belief for 99% of people out there. For example, you delay launching something because you're terrified of looking cringe or being judged by people who aren't even even trying to do the same thing as you. Now, I personally felt cringe when I started posting contents. Like, my background's technology in Silicon Valley, and honestly, posting TikTok videos was not respected. So there are many friends and people I knew who considered what I started doing as incredibly cringe and just weird. But cringe is just a feeling of your legacy operating system being overwritten, and it's a temporary state. It's just the price of admission for what you want to achieve. And honestly, the people judging you are usually the ones stuck in the same broke system you're trying to escape. So why do you care so much what they think? Stop optimizing for people who don't get what you're doing and start optimizing for leverage for your future. The strategy here is similar to reprogramming your operating system. You need to at least temporarily get away from the people who are judging you or saying bad things, or even if they're not judging you, you're just afraid of their judgment. Just temporarily build a little firewall between you and them while you are reprogramming your operating system. And realize that in 2 years, the people whose opinions you're afraid of, they won't even remember what you are doing today or what you posted today, but you will be living with the results of whether or not you took action. Here's a ChatGPT prompt to help you. Ask me questions one at a time to identify whose opinions are disproportionately affecting my decisions. Remember that mastering the psychology of money is what separates the broke from the truly wealthy. It isn't intelligence or even luck. It is breaking through the 6 limiting beliefs that I shared with you today. So hit like and hit subscribe if you want more free education like this.